English is a second foreign language is the use of English by speakers with different native languages. Instruction for English language learners may be known as English is a second language, English is a foreign language, English is an additional language, or English for speakers of other languages. English is a second language is often used for non-native English speakers learning English in a country where English is commonly spoken. English is a foreign language is used for non-native English speakers learning English in a country where English is not commonly spoken. The term ESL has been misinterpreted by some to indicate that English would be of secondary importance. However, it simply refers to the order in which the language was learned, consistent with the linguistic terminology of second language acquisition. The term ESL can be a misnomer for some students who have learned several languages before learning English. The terms English language learners, and more recently English learners, have been used instead, and the student's home language and cultures are considered important. The way English learners are instructed depends on the level of English proficiency and the programs provided in the school district. In some programs, instructions are taught in both English and the home language. In other programs, instructions are only in English but in a manner that is comprehensible to the students. Yet there are other programs in which L's are pulled out of the classroom for separate English instruction, or the instruction can also be given in the classroom itself. English as a language has great reach and influence. It is taught all over the world. In English-speaking countries, English language teaching has evolved in two broad directions: instruction for people who intend to live in countries where English dominates, and instruction for those who do not. These divisions have grown firmer as the instructors of these two industries have used different terminology, followed distinct training qualifications, formed separate professional associations, and so on. Crucially, these two arms have very different funding structures, public in the former and private in the latter, and to some extent this influences the way schools are established and classes are held. Matters are further complicated by the fact that the United States and the United Kingdom, both major engines of the language, describe these categories in different terms. Although English is the principal language in both the US and the United Kingdom, it differs between the two countries, primarily in pronunciation and vocabulary. For example, some words and phrases that are inoffensive in the US are offensive in the UK and vice versa. These differences are the butt of many jokes. We have really everything in common with America nowadays, except, of course, language. Similarly, Bertrand Russell said, "It is a misfortune for Anglo-American friendship that the two countries are supposed to have a common language." Variations have been misattributed to Winston Churchill and George Bernard Shaw, that England and America are two countries divided by common language, terminology and types. The many acronyms and abbreviations used in the field of English teaching and learning may be confusing, and the following technical definitions may have the currency contested upon various grounds. The precise usage, including the different use of the terms ESL and ESOL in different countries, is described below. These terms are most commonly used in relation to teaching and learning English as a second language, but they may also be used in relation to demographic information. English language teaching is a widely used teacher-centered term, as in the English language teaching divisions of large publishing houses, ELT training, etc. Teaching English is a second language, teaching English to speakers of other languages, and teaching English as a foreign language are also used. Other terms used in this field include English is an international language, English is a lingua franca, English for special purposes and English for specific purposes, and English for academic purposes. Those who are learning English are often referred to as English language learners. English outside English-speaking countries. EFL, English is a foreign language, indicates the teaching of English in a non-English-speaking region. Study can occur either in the student's home country, as part of the normal school curriculum or otherwise, or, for the more privileged minority, in an Anglophone country that they visit as a sort of educational tourist, particularly immediately before or after graduating from university. TEFL is the teaching of English as a foreign language. Note that this sort of instruction can take place in any country, English-speaking or not. Typically, EFL is learned either to pass exams as a necessary part of one's education, or for career progression while one works for an organization or business with an international focus. EFL may be part of the state school curriculum in countries where English has no special status. It may also be supplemented by lessons paid for privately. Teachers of EFL generally assume that students illiterate in the mother tongue. The Chinese EFL Journal and Iranian EFL Journal are examples of international journals dedicated to specifics of English language learning within countries where English is used as a foreign language. English within English-speaking countries. The other broad grouping is the use of English within the Anglosphere, in what Braj Kakru calls the inner circle, i.e., countries such as the United Kingdom and the United States. This use of English is generally by refugees, immigrants, and the children. It also includes the use of English in outer circle countries, often former British colonies and the Philippines, where English is an official language even if it is not spoken as a mother tongue by a majority of the population. In the US, Canada, Australia, and New Zealand, this use of English is called ESL. This term has been criticized on the grounds that many learners already speak more than one language. A counter-argument says that the word "a" in the phrase "a second language" means there is no presumption that English is the second acquired language. TESL is the teaching of English as a second language. There are also other terms that it may be referred to in the US, including L and CLD. In the UK and Ireland, the term ESL has been replaced by ESOL. In these countries, TESOL is normally used to refer to teaching English only to this group. In the UK and Ireland, the term EAL is used, rather than ESOL, when talking about primary and secondary schools. In order to clarify that English is not the student's first language, but the second or third, the term ESOL is used to describe English language learners who are above statutory school age. Other acronyms were created to describe the person rather than the language to be learned. The term limited English proficiency was first used in 1975 by the Lau Remedies following a decision of the U.S. Supreme Court. L, used by United States governments and school systems, was created by James Crawford of the Institute for Language and Education Policy in an effort to label learners positively, rather than ascribing a deficiency to them. Recently, some educators have shortened this to L, English learner. Typically, a student learns this sort of English to function in the new host country, e.g., within the school system, to find and hold down a job, or to perform the necessities of daily life. The teaching of it does not presuppose literacy in the mother tongue. It is usually paid for by the host government to help newcomers settle into their adopted country, sometimes as part of an explicit citizenship program. It is technically possible for ESL to be taught not in the host country, but in, for example, a refugee camp, as part of a pre-departure program sponsored by the government soon to receive new potential citizens. In practice, however, this is extremely rare. Particularly in Canada and Australia, the term ESD is used alongside ESL, usually in reference to programs for Aboriginal Canadians or Australians. The term refers to the use of standard English by speakers of a Creole or non-standard variety. It is often grouped with ESL as ESL, ESD, umbrella terms. All these ways of denoting the teaching of English can be bundled together into an umbrella term. Unfortunately, not all of the English teachers in the world would agree on just only a simply single term. The term TESOL is used in American English to include both TEFL and TESL. This is also the case in Canada as well as in Australia and New Zealand. British English uses ELT, because TESOL has a different, more specific meaning. See above. Systems of simplified English. Several models of simplified English have been suggested or developed for international communication. Among them, Basic English, developed by Charles K. Ogden in the 1930s. A recent revival has been initiated by Bill Templer. Threshold Level English, developed by Van Eck and Alexander. Globish, developed by Jean-Paul Merrier. Basic Global English, developed by Joachim Grzeger. Nuclear English, proposed by Randolph Quirk and Gabriel Stein but never fully developed.